Hello, and welcome to our story corner. Today, we're diving into a tale that has been whispered from one generation to the next. A story of courage, unity, and a little bit of magic. So, gather round, get comfortable, and let's begin. Once upon a time, nestled right at the edge of a vast, whispering forest, there was a small, humble village. In this village lived a group of remarkable children. They were not just friends, they were family. Having lost their parents, they relied on each other for everything. Their days were spent as a team, a small but determined unit. Every morning, with the sun just beginning to peek over the trees, they would venture into the forest together. Their mission was simple but vital: to gather wild fruits that hung like jewels from the branches, to collect fallen firewood to keep them warm, and to find edible wild vegetables for their meals. It was a hard life, but they faced it with brave hearts, their bond making them stronger than any challenge. But this forest held a dark secret, a shadow that chilled the hearts of all who knew of it. Deep within the woods, in a dark and gloomy cave, lived an ogre woman. She was the stuff of nightmares, cruel and fearsome, with a terrifying love for eating children. Her nose was long and crooked, her teeth were as sharp as daggers, and her eyes glowed with a menacing, unnatural light in the darkness. The villagers would often warn their own children, their voices low and serious. Whatever you do, stay far, far away from the ogre's cave. Don't let your curiosity lead you into her clutches. It was a warning that every child in the village knew by heart. One afternoon, the sun was warm and the air was sweet with the scent of pine. The children were deeper in the forest than usual, drawn by a patch of exceptionally plump, juicy berries. They were so focused on their task, laughing and chatting as they filled their baskets, that they didn't notice the path had vanished. The familiar trees began to look strange and twisted. They had wandered off their usual route, and, with a growing sense of dread, they realized they were lost. Every direction looked the same. It was then that they stumbled into a clearing, and in the center stood a dark, foreboding cave. An unsettling smell hung in the air. They had accidentally found the home of the ogre woman. Inside the cave, the ogre woman's long nose twitched. She smelled something she hadn't smelled in a long time, the scent of children. Her glowing eyes widened with glee. With a horrifying roar, she burst out of her cave, her monstrous shadow falling over the terrified children. "Ha ha ha!" she cackled, her voice like grinding stones. "What a wonderful surprise! A lovely plump meal has walked right to my door today." For a moment, the children were frozen with fear. The stories, the warnings, it was all real. Then, their survival instinct kicked in. With a collective gasp, they turned and ran, their small feet pounding against the forest floor as fast as they could possibly go. They didn't dare look back, but they could hear her heavy footsteps crashing through the undergrowth right behind them, getting closer and closer. Branches whipped at their faces, and roots threatened to trip them, but they didn't stop. Fear gave them a speed they never knew they had. The ogre's wicked laughter echoed through the trees, spurring them on. Their desperate flight led them to the edge of a wide, rushing river. The water was deep and the current was powerful. There was no way to cross. They were trapped. The sound of the ogre woman crashing through the woods was getting louder. Panic began to set in. Just as all hope seemed lost, the oldest child, his voice shaking but clear, shouted over the roar of the water, "Quick, let's pray to the river god for help. It's our only chance." Without a second thought, all the children dropped to their knees on the riverbank. They closed their eyes, clasped their hands together, and prayed with all their hearts. They prayed for safety, for a miracle, for deliverance from the monster chasing them. They poured all their hope and sincerity into their prayer to the spirit of the river. And then something incredible happened. The water in front of them began to shimmer and glow. Breaking through the surface, a magnificent golden turtle appeared, its shell gleaming like the sun. It looked at the children with ancient, wise eyes. Then, as if by magic, the turtle created a bridge. It wasn't made of wood or stone, but of pure, sparkling light, arching gracefully from their side of the river to the other. The children stared in awe, but only for a second. Wasting no time, they scrambled onto the magical bridge and ran across to the safety of the far bank. They had just made it to the other side when the ogre woman burst out of the trees. Seeing the children escaping, she let out a furious roar and, without hesitation, stomped onto the golden bridge to follow them. But the moment her heavy foot touched the bridge of light, it flickered and vanished completely. With a loud, final shriek of surprise and rage, the ogre woman plunged into the turbulent river below with a tremendous splash. She thrashed and struggled, trying to swim against the powerful current, but the river was too strong. The water churned around her, pulling her under and sweeping her far, far away, never to be seen again. Safe on the other side, the children watched in stunned silence, their hearts still pounding in their chests. They were safe. The monster was gone. Overcome with relief and gratitude, they turned back to the river and bowed deeply. They thanked the golden turtle and the great river god for saving their lives. Slowly, they made their way back to the village, helping each other along the now familiar path. When they arrived, they shared their incredible story with everyone. The villagers were amazed and overjoyed. To show their endless gratitude, they all worked together to build a small, beautiful shrine right by the riverbank to honor the river god who had protected the children. From that day forward, a sense of peace settled over the village and the forest. The children continued to live together, but now with an even deeper appreciation for life and for each other. They worked hard, always helping one another, and their laughter echoed through the village once more. They grew up strong and kind, and they never ever forgot the terrifying ordeal they had faced. It had taught them a powerful lesson that they carried with them for the rest of their lives. That with kindness in your heart, courage in your spirit, and unity by your side, you can overcome any darkness and conquer any evil that comes your way. And that's where our story ends for today. A beautiful reminder that sticking together and being brave can make all the difference. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to follow our channel for more tales. We'll see you next time.